asleep or awake, liminal or pre-planned. I really do have a hard time with things like underpainting or in novels. I have characters in a situation, but beyond that, I just want to fall into the flow of art and let them say and do what they want. There is one time in particular I can think of that I knew exactly what I was drawing from the beginning, and the painting didn't deviate. And it was beginning, I was still taking a class to become a priestess in the Temple of the Feminine Divine. Um, and I wound up drawing Tiamat. And I remember vividly being asleep for a lot of it because I wasn't in a coherent enough state to look up anything more about Tiamat. So I studied religion extensively in undergraduate and graduate school, and then trying to be ordained, uh, as well as just years of study on my own. But the hard part, and part of the reason I have been so hesitant to share any art done in flow, or my thinking while I'm making the art during in flow in particular, is because I forget exactly, who Tiamat is, what she did, how she is applying to this moment in my life. And then when I come back at it another day, I might even still be in a world of agony and stoned, but I'll have remembered in the meantime to Google if it didn't come back to me when I just came back to a more wakeful state. But there is a image that I keep thinking I've drawn, and then I look back night after night to when I come back to see what I did the previous day, and I haven't been able to draw her. I got kind of close in scale once, but you know, instead, wound up being able to do the Tiamat drawing later on. But it is this thought of feminine divine having been carved up over the years. Uh, we can look at all the violence done to goddesses as different religions came to an area. Look at the. I'm still convinced that during the Bronze Age collapse is when the goddess lost ground against materialism and this toxic idea of superiority. And yet here we are still remembering, and if we're not remembering, then we're having the dream for the first time. I feel like as a society, we are functioning a lot like my ADHD. The other day, I invented socks. I did a little video because I thought it was hilarious, but I was looking for a solution to the problem that I've got right now, and I came up with a solution that was discovered thousands and thousands and whatnot years ago. Um, but for a minute, I thought it was novel, and I thought it was fresh, and I thought it was new, and I think we as a culture are going to have to go through a lot of this, where we take an old idea and we put it to the side and we say, okay, well, that served us, and this, X and Y art, and these aspects of culture, and these shards of language we want to keep because it's amazing and it's beautiful, but we are moving past a place where one human being is expendable and another human being, just because of whatever quality takes them away from what is considered a norm. Our whole idea of normalcy is based upon ableism and sexism and racism, because always racism. We cannot ever pretend we're living in a world that doesn't have racism. I wish I could have lived to see one, but it is embedded deeply and it will take generations to get over. But that doesn't mean we stop trying. I'm not trying to preach, I'm sorry. I'm trying to make art. And I'm still pretty sure that those 11 plucky followers on YouTube, at least one is watching videos. They're not liking them, but they're watching. Actually, that's not fair. They might be liking them. They just didn't click the button. I really don't like that so much of my life has hinged on this popularity contest I could never win, nor would I want to. I don't want to win at a society that sees people in positions like mine as less worthy of drawing breath, as less worthy of protecting. Even as a child, I did not understood. Oh my God, I apologize for that. I did not understand how people who have been through deep suffering could just cause that to someone else without. I mean, you get a pass the first time because you didn't understand it, and maybe the second time because it's out of habit, but at some point, it's a choice to keep causing pain, because the person that's telling you they're hurting is not as human or important. But really, humanity is, it shouldn't be the requirement. We should be willing to respect sanctity of a life and existence, to move through as kindly as we can. I don't know. I'm saying we. I'm talking to myself. I hate people who proselytize and don't live it. Actually, I just hate people who proselytize. Let's be realistic. I've always been oppositional enough. I guess I had to find it on my own. We'll never know. Because I don't intend to give up what I've got. It is beautiful to I'm sorry, I'm trying to word it carefully, and words are hard right now. I don't want to sound like a jackass, and I don't want to sound like I have an inflated ego. I am very aware that I am alone for reasons that are my fault. And I am also aware that I don't give a shit because I don't think I would be as deep in flow right now, especially in this kind of pain, if I had any distractions at all. I mean, maybe if I had, a way to treat the pain, but let's not dream about things we can't have. At some point, they'll call about the neuropsych testing and I'll get it, and maybe I'll have the MRI before then, hopefully. And I can see what I'm working with. But moments like this are so precious and so full of deep and abiding contentment. And I think about that goddess who got ripped to shreds for other religions to take hold. What I feel right now is deep and internal, and I don't believe I know I am still a very, very flawed human. Naked in the least sexy way that any human has ever been. There is a deep humbleness and humility, and yet I am grateful beyond all measure. And that was always the goal. I told a medical professional, which, may come back to bite me, but I really have felt that everything I do and everything I am at this point is now just gravy. It has been a really hard slog to get through this on my own, and to be able to realize that physically I'm having issues, but this is where I'm spending my nights. That's such a blessing. And I'd rather live here in love. I know I should sleep. I don't think I could if I wanted to, though. And I'm actually aware a lot of people would be deeply livid because I'm talking about feminine divine, and I'm talking about reclaiming what we've lost. But it might not even be that reclaiming. It might be that we are just learning how to appreciate the sacrifice of so many. Who were just written out of history. That is one of the most painful things that I realized when I was studying it at Georgetown. So many were just written out of the story because those in power wanted to cement their place, or because of simple greed, someone could take credit for another's discovery and labor and hope. And yet here we are. I said earlier something that I wanted to expand upon, and apparently this is when I do it. I am a free will kind of person. I don't believe that things happen for a reason. I do believe, however, that we humans are singularly able to make something beautiful out of this shit. To take even the worst kinds of suffering and draw some kind of lesson from it. Even if it's not one that's gonna help me at the moment, it might help someone else someday. Isn't that what art is? Isn't that like what writing is? I am so lucky. I might be splitting apart, but I am so lucky. If I had had children, I would be telling them that now. I'm so mad that I couldn't get help, but at the same time, this just overwhelming understanding of how fortunate and blessed I've been. And I tried to do what I could with it, even though nobody's wanted it. Maybe someday. Oh, the cat just started moaning. I've got to get off that subject. Oh, because there really isn't a future in a sense. Like, it doesn't concern me. It's none of my business right now. Because right now it's just for making something lovely out of this moment when the rest that I want is just not in my grasp. But this love is.